What's going on, YouTubers? I want to show you guys a little trick today to take your old MEPs, ones you find on the ground, either have dual points on the hooks, and turn it into something like this. There's different ways to do this. Here's the process that I like to do. When doing this, I like to go ahead and when I find them on the shorelines and stuff like that, they'll have a lot of scuffs on them and stuff like that, and I like to take some pretty grit sandpaper and go two different directions. And when I do that, it gives it kind of different angles. This one had red on it. I don't think I'm going to get all that off. And so basically you want to kind of give it a new shine, kind of spruce things up a little bit. This one was completely dull. It was silver, nickel plated, and it's brass undercoat. So that's this one here. Pardon my bird. So when you're doing this, you want to get rid of that old hook that they have on there that they don't put a split ring on, so you can't really take off. And you cut that off. Now that's gone. Don't need any more of that. This is what you're left with. This piece is locked on here. You got your swivel right there. Now with this guy, you want to take your split ring pliers. This part can be kind of tricky. Once you get it through, I find it easiest to kind of just slide it over. Get the tip of that on there while the gap is still open. Now I'm using the EWG hooks. I prefer to use those over the worm offset hooks. Just my personal preference. You can use whatever you want on them. You can even replace just the plain treble. Then you want to get this bad boy on there. It's going to take me a second here. Just put this bad boy back up. And get your hook on there. Once you do, you just want to tighten it up. Now you got yourself a weedless EWG extra wide gap hook with an old MEP spinner if you found one. Like I said, you want to sand everything down there, kind of sand some of the stuff that's on this here, sand around that. Like I said, you can replace them with a split ring and use the treble hook back on it, and a feathered one if you want. And you can also go to the offset worm hooks if you like. I then tend to put my screw lock on last. Now be careful you don't hook yourself. Do it in a way you're not facing the hook. Now you got your screw lock. Now this is where you can choose from several different baits depending on what your action or application is going to be for this bait. Since it is weedless on this, you can go with the Kitex, natural looking flukes for clear water. You want to stick with more natural baits in the clear water. Flukes really don't have too much tail action, so with something like this on a spinner bait, you don't really have to worry about the action being taken away from these guys too much. Let the blade do the action. Another thing here, you can do the small flukes if you want to pinch off the tips. I usually pinch off the tips of these on the Kitex as well, just to kind of shorten them up a little bit. These small paddle tails. You could even go as crazy as throwing a top water little buzzing horny toad. on there and have this guy kind of semi-surface swimming, kicking back and forth. Cut in half, a little Christy crawl, you could do that. The rage tails, like I said, I like to take scissors and I'll cut off probably about this much of it, just 2 lips of it, and then I'll rig it from that there, like that. Then there's the Reaction Innovation Sweet Beaver if you're looking to do a lot more crawling, more subtle action in the winter time, less kicking. This is going to be a bait. Make sure you tear these apart when you use it. And then you also have the 10,000 fish saw craw. It's another good option for it. Like I said, you're going to want to cut down the edges here to make it fit on there perfectly. There's also the different baits you can use, stick worms, Senkos. Like I said, I recommend trimming them down to a smaller size to prevent getting short strikes, especially on these curly tail styles there. These can work good for walleye if you want to throw on some worm scent and throw one of these on with a chartreuse tail, or use dye if you have it. That's another option to go for walleye with this bait. But the main application that I'm going to be using them for is going to be with a crawfish or something like that. I have one for a crawfish and one for a swim bait. I try and match the color of the blade there to the application or water I'm using. If it's murky or stained, I'm going to want to go with the brass gold kind of tint. And if it's clear water, I know this one's more of the brass underneath. It was nickel plated at first. You might want to go with more of a nickel or silver color in the natural waters, more natural style baits in the clear waters and stuff like that, more radical baits. And you can do this to pretty much, you can do it to these, you can do it to the MEPS of your choice. If it has a colored edge and you want to keep that and your hook just gets dull, this is another great way just to replace those treble hooks. Make sure you match the size of the hook right. As well, I mean, you can do this into a real finesse style and bring this down. This one was a MEP 0, I believe, or a 1. So there's different ways that you can approach this whole angle on, you know, making yourself, you know, a bait like this, you know, with a nice little extra flash to it. But what I'll do, I'll bring that screw lock up. I'll take my bait. You just want to screw it right on. And since mine have a little snap tip, I want to make sure that I get it deep enough to where that's buried inside there, so it's not going to pop off, because the other clip side has been buried into the bait itself. I'm going to match up where it's going. Send it through. Now you got yourself a weedless option that you can now drag across the bottom. The clanking of this blade here, just dragging across the bottom, can also draw fish in, stuff like that. So like I said, match up your color of your baits to your forage. If you're looking to bottom drag, or if the water temperature is cold, go with something more subtle like a Reaction Innovation Sweet Beaver. And then you want to go more drastic as the water temps rise and start getting more action in your baits. You can do that. You can, like I said, throw natural fluke swim baits, just the natural colors, or you can bring it to dark colors in swim baits or whatever you're using. Neon tails, dyes, scents. You can use all those things to adjust to your water conditions, temperatures, and everything else like that. So this is how you can turn an old MEPS you find or an old lure into a new product, or something that the fish probably haven't seen too much of, and a little bit bigger of a weight. If you're a bank fisherman like me, you can get these out a little bit farther, and when I see these on the banks, I always pick them up. I always recycle my soft plastics, make molds, and do more. I'll show more videos on that. This is, like I said, just one option and way to save money. If your treble hook's dull, just replace the treble hook, or decide to do something crazy and new with it. And this is the option you can do here. Like I said, multiple baits. Just a good option, nice little trick. Try to get these fish to bite on a finicky day or just to save a little money. I'm on disability, I'm an amputee, so for me, if I can find baits bank walking, I'm going to save them. I'm going to recycle my soft plastics and reuse them and remelt them. So that's kind of what I'm about. More videos to come, so give me a thumbs up or a like. I'm going to be starting, this will be my first video of my channel. Amputee Angler 24, amputee _ angler 24 for my Instagram. I also have a fish brain account under amputee angler. Again, my name is Gary. Thanks for watching my video.